ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Thursday. Some sun the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze out of the south around 13 miles per hour and look for it to be 66. Tonight, there will be some clouds and very light showers with the temperature reaching 63. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high of 70. Saturday will have a high of 66 and sunshine. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Hi, this is Matt Lewis with Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. We offer comprehensive diagnostics and repair service for all types of hydraulic units, such as hydraulic and pneumatic cylinders, hydraulic pumps, motors, and valves, as well as a broad range of hydraulic hoses and O-rings. Give us a call at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions at 850-326-3000 for any of your hydraulic needs.
Visit their new location, Highway 77, south of Tractor Supply.
There's nothing more satisfying than helping you find the perfect vehicle. And this month, find something you love at just 2.99% APR on our most popular models. Plus 90 days until you make your first payment. Like the 2024 Camry with stylish good looks and impressive performance. Or the 2024 Corolla, built for comfort and style with top-notch tech. Panama City Toyota. For over 30 years, where relationships are born.
Offer expires March 4th. For details, visit PanamaCityToyota.com.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place this first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior task and drill.
I'm an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Let's play the game.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
I just don't think that anybody's going to succeed in that system.
It's a bad organization.
It's just a bad organization.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
Live and local.
Look, it's impressive.
On ESPN
Northwest Florida.
Don't we have some beautiful weather this afternoon in the Panhandle? Absolutely gorgeous, even if your phones weren't working this morning when you woke up. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 right here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife. You guys can give us a call or text this afternoon at 850-215-62
56290. Call or text that same very number. We've got a lot to dive into this afternoon. As always, on Thursdays, Alan Watson, the owner of Golf Plus, will join us at 4:20, and then at 4:40, we'll play a little trivia. We've got some on this day all the way back in 1860 is where we're going to start, and we will wrap up with, I believe, 2019. And then at 5 o'clock, what are we going to be doing at 5 o'clock, James? I have already forgot. So I will head over there to 5 o'clock, and we're going to be chatting with Andrew Weiss, talking a little hockey today. Andrew Weiss will join us for the start of hour number 2. Then we'll talk some college softball with Sydney Fields, who is the managing editor for College Softball Central. She's also a writer for LSU, University of New Mexico, and San Jose State University. But we'll also have to get her answers on Florida State and how they're doing. And then the softball coach for Gulf Coast State College, Scott Thomas, is going to be joining us at 5:40. Hopefully that we will have a good connection with him, as last week when we tried to have him on, it just didn't work out. So he'll join us at 5:40 this afternoon. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Caveman Rick chiming in with a good old-fashioned yo. Hopefully he's doing well. I'll hit it back with you, and we'll create a yo-yo. EA Sports College Football finalizing its name, image, and likeness plan. They're going to begin the opt-in process. This is going to be a very interesting process. So up to 85 players per school will initially appear on rosters in the game, and that game is going to be coming out this summer, more than likely in the month of July. More details will be dropping for this game as we get into May, but it is interesting. Athletes who opt in to have their NIL, their name, image, and likeness appear, will eventually receive $600 plus a copy of the game. That's typically valued at $70, which that's another interesting point as well. Will it drop at $70?
Oh, absolutely. Why would it not? I mean, for me, it's getting to the point with all these DLCs, because I'm a big-time gamer.
Right.
I love gaming. But with all these DLCs and extra things you can download, why not just come up to me and say, hey, man, $100, here's where it starts, and within 3 months and 6 months, here's the downloads that come with you.
That's what I'm getting at, is will they go higher than $70? Because what I think it was with the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 genres, you had the games kind of start at $50. And then with the Xbox One coming out, they jump up to $60. And then with the new generation, now all of the games are kind of the status quo there at $70. But could this game be different, and maybe like a Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out and they start at a price? I mean, people have been waiting how many years for this game? 10, 11 years at this point in time?
I've been waiting since 2016, 14, somewhere in there when they stopped making it. I used to love playing it. But I don't see any extra to it beyond the 70, because it's not really like a DLC type game, because what other loadable content are you going to have? You're not going to give me any roster updates for next season, because you're just going to give me another game next season.
Yeah.
So there's not any roster updates.
Well, you know how they do it in Madden and all of the other sports games, right? Where
so
you create
get your
this
packets.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You get your little cards, you make your ultimate team. Like for Madden, it's ultimate team, and so you buy these packs of cards, and then you can utilize these players, and it's like that's just for the people who want to buy those and just have these stacked teams right at the beginning. I would prefer to pay $0 and kind of work my team up there. And if I'm not going to work on my ultimate team, I'd rather, to be honest, the way I like to play is either online connected franchise or just play head to head with people who I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, I've not been a big type of mutt or hut person, depending on if you're talking NHL or Madden.
Hockey Ultimate Team's pretty daggum good, though.
I've just never, I've lived in a place where I don't get really good, internet reception.
Yeah,
so it's not a really big thing for me to want to go online and play people. I got a cousin that lives in Colorado, and I'll play him every once in a while because he just understands that I have, bad internet where I live, and all of a sudden it's just like, hey, dude's gone.
Yeah.
And like when you're playing some rando off the internet, they get all mad and report you, and then EA sends you all these nasty emails saying, you got to finish the game. It's like, dudes, I'm trying.
Yeah, that's so it's not the Hockey Ultimate Team that I like as much as it is the EA Sports Hockey League, where it's like you and how many other buddies, 3 to 4 buddies, and y'all can get on and all kind of control your individual player, and that's a very fun mode. You can do the same thing in NBA. I think they have similar modes like that in Madden, but it's not, you don't got people individually controlling the guards and tackles and the offensive line.
That would be fun, though.
It would be,
That's
but
a lot of people, though.
Exactly. First, it's a lot of people, and then think about how many times you're going to have illegal men downfield. Because
yeah, some center's just going to take off like, hey, I got to go get the ball.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Stay here, man. Stay.
And your blocking in general could just be, it could be a lot of fun, but I just think like the people, a lot of the times when I'm playing online, they want to be like, especially when you're playing basketball, you end up getting on these teams where people just want to be ball hogs, and they just, and it's just like it is in real life. You just sit over there in the corner essentially and just like, hey man, well, if you ever, I'll play some defense, and if you ever want to pass me the ball, then hopefully I don't double tap A because I'm so surprised that I just got the ball and pass it right back to you. But really excited about this game. $600 is what they're going to receive, which
That's a good deal, I think.
That's a great deal.
All you got to do is just sign the piece of paper, get to be in the game, get to see yourself. All your family calls, hey man, I got to be you in the game. So you get your $600, but how much? You can't really give them too much more because EA also needs to make something, or else they won't not going to make it again.
Exactly, and that's where my issue is all right. This is kind of exposure for you. You being in the game is exposure for you. $600 is more than enough in my opinion. I think that we're going to have some high-profile athletes who are going to bargain with them and try to get a little bit more out of it. They're going to be like, well, look at what they get in Madden. Well, we're talking about 134 teams here in this video game compared to 32 teams with much smaller rosters.
Well, and Madden is also negotiated with the Players Association, right, not each individual player.
Exactly.
And now Madden does, or not Madden, but yes, Madden, EA Madden does play the Players Association it's something pretty extraordinary too. Like, it's like for the next 5 years, $1.5 billion or something like that. So those players will eventually get to see it in some way, shape, or form, but I don't know. Inside of the Players Association, does it go directly to the players? Does it stay within the association and is protected for retirement and players? I'm not sure where it goes from there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how all of that works out. I heard him talking a little bit about it on Cavino and Rich today, who were filling in for Colin Cowherd, like somewhere around that area of $17,000, which could be true, could not be true. I did a little digging into it and basically found out that it's an undisclosed number. So, you're not without knowing from one of the players, without finding out from one of the players what they get, I just kind of, well, it is what it is. But $600 per athlete, you think about that, 85 times 134. I have not done this math, and I'm not even going to attempt to it. But then you multiply that times 600. That's a lot of money. Now this game is going to sell, and it's going to do extremely well. There's no doubt about that. Even if the game stinks, which this is the problem that EA Sports is in right now, is they're trying. It's going to be the same engine as Madden, but it's going to have all of these other different things involved in it. But think about all of the backlash. No matter what you do, it's not going to be good enough for people.
Oh, somebody's going to complain just because that's what it is. And everybody already has a pseudo bad taste with Madden, because if we go look through the history of Madden since, 2005-ish, 2006-ish, when the NFL and EA came to the agreement that only EA will make the game, it has progressively just gone down. It has not been as entertaining. And you can even go to Metacritic, which is the website that contains, all the reviews from professionals and lets people like you and I get on there and make a review as well. And every year that Madden rating keeps on dropping down. Last year, I don't even think it got out of the 2s, and it's on a 10-based scale.
Now, I'll say for me, I think that this last Madden felt like the most consistent, meaning when you did something wrong, like you weren't kind of blaming the control, like not the controller, but it's like, what in the heck is this game doing? It felt like they had the controls kind of down. It felt a little bit more realistic. It felt like it responded the right way. And so I don't know. For me, how much more can these games grow? You know what I mean? They already look like it's real life, or maybe even better than real life at that point. But I'm also not that hard of a person to please when it comes to video games. Like, really, the only reason I buy the new games is because of the small little minute features. And that's one of the things with Madden, is it really hasn't made a boatload of new changes. Now, in this last one, it had they put a little bit more hyper focus into the franchise, which those are the things I care about. And most of the changes that they make are for those ultimate team modes, those online modes, rather than just like the franchise and trying to make that thing as fully customizable as possible. But this college football game, that college football has drastically changed from what it was the last time that we had a game. And while we're on the money side of it, it's like, if this is all it took was $600 a player, what took us so long? Now, I get it. There's a lot of hoops. Like, the fact that they were able to get all of this done, and that we're going to be able to have this EA Sports college football game of 2025, and that there's going to finally be a foundation. I mean, we're talking about this year. There's not even going to be the likeness of coaches won't be on there. So there's not going to be the Kirby Smarts. There's not going to be the Dabo Swinney's. They're all going to be essentially just the same as Nick Saban, not in the game at that point in time. So $600 is what they're getting. Plus, they're going to get a copy of the game. And then with those athletes, they will remain in the game for their entire careers. They will get that $600 annually. Players who transfer will continue to be compensated as long as they are on a roster. As of yesterday, we had Notre Dame announce that it would be in the game, so all 134 FBS schools have agreed to be in the game. I don't think there's going to be any FCS games in this one, or at least at the time of launch, ESPN has said that there will be no FCS games. Gamers will be allowed to create their own players. This is interesting. You're going to be allowed to create your own players, no surprise there, but one of the guys, I forget who it is. His last name is Holt. What he is in association with EA Sports, but you will not be allowed to create an opted out player. So let's take Jalen Milroe, and let's say he decides he's not going to take the $600 and be in the game. Somehow, some way, you're not going to be able to create Jalen Milroe. And I find that, how are they going to keep people from putting in, especially if you're offline, creating a Jalen Milroe, or do you just have to change up a letter and call him Jamin Ilroe?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I bet you got to go to Jolin Melroe or something like that, and then you can make him look the same, give him the same kind of stats, put him at the same school. But there are a couple of games out there that already have, I've got a couple of little phone games, you play on your phone thing, where you try to enter a username, it's like, can't use that username. So I bet it's just going to be an automatic kickback that they have in there that, will update every time that a roster update comes through that you get, about once a week.
What if your name is Jalen Milroe? There's got to be.
I'm sorry for your luck.
I guess that's what it. Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
I think that's what's going to happen is, we're sorry. Can you be Jolin Milroe for a day?
There you go. The transfer the transfer portal and the NIL will be in the game, so that's going to make Road to Glory and all of those kind of things just a little bit more interesting. I'm really excited. I mean, how do you do? It's already crazy enough. I don't know if you've ever done Connected Franchise, but I've played with 31 other random people before, and we've went like 5-6 seasons into it. But how do you do that with 134 teams? And what about the people? Like, how are you gonna get people?
You got that one guy that just doesn't keep up with everybody, and you're just like, hey man, we're 2 weeks behind because you.
Oh, that's when you just kick them out of the league and find a new user for them. But how do you talk people into? Well, listen, you're gonna be UAB, and that just, it is what it is at that point. Now, I think the excitement will be good enough for the first year to maybe get leagues put together with 134 people. But this is going to be a lot of fun, seeing how all of this works out, seeing what the foundation looks like. Play styles and playbooks apparently are going to represent all 134 FBS schools. They're saying you've got 134 different ways to play. If you guys follow Kyle Wright on Facebook, he's been putting out some funny little posts about, from the different teams, Miami, Florida, and Florida State as well. So I can't wait for this. Schools and EA worked with the collegiate licensing company to collect renderings of jerseys, helmets, and stadiums and other markings, often submitting them through CLC's brand manager 360. Corey Moss, the CEO of CLC, told ESPN the collection was astronomical in terms of both what EA needed and what schools wanted to provide, which is a beautiful thing. Not only is EA, doing their research and getting a lot of great stuff, but then the schools are also helping. If the schools are helping, then that research can go a little bit deeper.
I also saw that there are going to be multiple broadcast teams to the game. So back in the day, you only had, Corso and Herbstreit calling every single game. Now there's supposed to be more than just one. I didn't say how many, but I kind of like that because, every week you don't watch the CBS broadcast. Sometimes you got to watch ESPN.
And I love Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis. They're the two guys who call the games for Madden. But there was one year, I think it was the first year that they went to Xbox 360, where they had local announcers doing the games so like if the home team was the Titans, it would have the Titans broadcast team. I don't know if that became too much, but that is something, and that's another thing for all of these games. The commentary is just copy paste and then add a little bit into it. And one of my favorite things, I don't know if it's just because I love broadcasts of games, but I love good commentary, and that's where I'll say NBA kind of separates itself from, and MLB The Show does a pretty good job of it as well, but I say that NBA 2K kind of separates itself when it comes to the commentary side of things. Holt would not divulge much on the announcers, including whether there would be multiple announcer teams and who some of the announcers might be. But I've seen some of the same things you're talking about, James, where it looks like they've got a nice little combination of guys there for EA Sports College Football. More specifics will be revealed in May. This year's edition is just going to be the foundation for the game, though. So I do we need to maybe temper. It's going to be so hard for a game that hasn't came out in 10 years, but maybe we temper our expectations on this and just enjoy the fact that we're getting another one and see what the progress could be in the future. The top-ranked Arnold boys soccer team avenged its district title loss. They beat the number 2 team, Booker T. Washington, 2-0 in the Class 5A Region 1 final. They are now 21-1, 20-1-1, and they're going to be taking on Pembroke Pines Charter in the state semifinals in DeLand. That is next Tuesday. It is the third Final Four appearance in 4 years and their fourth in the past 7 years. In high school baseball yesterday, Mosley took the loss to Catholic 9-2, and North Bay Haven got a win over Franklin 7-4. And in high school softball, it was Niceville 15, Mosley 0. From Arnold High School alumni over there, Carson Dorsey, he struck out 10 batters in 3.2 innings of relief for the Florida State Seminoles, getting his first win of the year, first win of his career for Florida State. He's had 3 games, 2 appearances, leading all FSU pitchers in strikeouts. He has struck out 15 of his total batters faced, which is 24 of those. He's a junior left-handed pitcher. He transferred from Gulf Coast State College last year after leading the Commodores on the mound for 2 seasons. He was also drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 17th round of the 2022 Major League Baseball draft. He had a great season in 2023. I must have deleted something because that has nothing to do with that headline. The Buccaneers, boys and girls, are 3-0 with victories over Mosley, Bay, and Arnold. This is the tennis team. The North Bay Haven boys are 20-1 in individual matches, and they're led by their junior, Fearson Grant, who helped take his team to their first region championship last spring. The North Bay Haven girls are 19-2 in individual matches. They're led by their senior, Emily Garrett, who became the first female tennis in school history, first female tennis player in school history to earn a state berth last spring. The Buccaneers are set to compete in Dothan this weekend, the girls and boys team. They're going to be taking on some of the top high schools from Alabama and Georgia at the Westgate Tennis Center. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Coming up next, we're going to be talking some golf with the owner of Golf Plus, Alan Watson.
ESPN Northwest Florida is taking it to the hole. Your home for the most live college basketball on the Gulf Coast. The ACC, SEC, and the biggest games in the country. Plus the official station of March Madness.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
Hear every slam dunk in ultra-high fidelity right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Thursday. Some sun the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze out of the south around 13 miles per hour and look for it to be 66. Tonight, there will be some clouds and very light showers with the temperature reaching 63. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high of 70. Saturday, we'll have a high of 66 and sunshine. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
There's nothing more satisfying than helping you find the perfect vehicle. And this month, find something you love at just 2.99% APR on our most popular models. Plus 90 days until you make your first payment. Like the 2024 Camry with stylish good looks and impressive performance. Or the 2024 Corolla, built for comfort and style with top-notch tech. Panama City Toyota. For over 30 years, where relationships are born.
Offer expires March 4th. For details, visit PanamaCityToyota.com.
For everything in the world of golf, it's the Watson Report. Thursdays at 4:20 with Alan Watson from Golf Plus. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. Make sure you're looking towards the bridge or head towards the bridge now. 445, there is going to be a flyover. I'm sure they're in the middle of that Warrior Beach Retreat Parade right now. And then at 7 p.m. tonight, the ceremony starts over there at First Baptist Church. And Colonel Allen West is going to be the guest speaker over there. He's U.S. Army retired and U.S. Congressman. So ceremony tonight at 7 p.m. Admission is free and it is open to the public. I'm excited about that. I'll be headed that way after the show. But the flyover, 4:45, so that is not too far from now, 22 minutes. And the flyover, they'll be heading over the Hathaway Bridge. And don't forget either about Rutherford tonight. They're going to be taking on Bishop Kenny over there in Jacksonville. That game should be starting tonight at 6 p.m. Now we're going to be talking a little golf with the owner of Golf Plus, Alan Watson. Alan, welcome in. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good, man. It's a beautiful day in Bay County today.
Oh, it absolutely is, man. I was soaking up some of that sun just a little bit ago. Charlie Woods, though, with an 86 in his PGA Pre-Tour qualifying event. What do you make of that? That's a pretty high score, but a very young guy, not even 16 years old yet.
Yeah, I mean, from where they're going to make him play from is not where he's used to playing from, and even with all the talent in the world at his age, he's just not ready for that yet. So, that's fine. Let him go out and do this kind of stuff. Give him a sponsor's exemption into some events here and there if that's what you want to do to kind of draw crowds. But, he's not going to fill the void of his father until we get a few more years down the road and make him a bigger person where he can really keep up with those guys. And just the competition level, he's just still not quite ready for that. But, I mean, it's a good story, and we'll continue to watch his career. And, we may have something where 10, 15 years we're looking back and saying that's the greatest father-son duo to ever play golf. Already got the first half taken care of, right? So, I think it's going to be interesting because I think Tiger's career is winding down, so we'll have to keep our eye on Charlie.
Winding down. That is a very respectful way to put it. Could playing in some of these events and shooting these high scores and the game of golf being so mental, could this be something that could be a detriment, or one of those on the flip side of that, where the challenge that presents itself, if you just keep on knocking down those bricks, eventually you'll be at the top of the stairwell?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can prepare somebody for the mental side of golf, it's Tiger, and he can get his son ready to understand that it's not all, just wins every time. And I think Charlie's seeing that now in the last few years with Tiger struggling. So, yeah, he knows the history, but now he's seeing the reality that golf is an up and down kind of thing. And also at his age, knowing who he's having to compete against, college golfers, pro golfers, ex-pro golfers who are trying to make it back out, that level, you're at his age, you just don't have that experience. So even with all the talent in the world, you got to be realistic. And golf is such a mental game. So maybe he understands that. Maybe he doesn't. But I got a feeling he does at his age.
How about Joaquin Niemann? He had a recent victory in the Live Golf Tour opener against Macayoba. He shot a 59 in the first round over there. But do you think that that's because of his Live Tour or because of what he does on the international stage? Why do you think he was invited to the Masters?
Yeah, I think it's just an international thing. I think it's world ranking points and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's been on the radar for the last few years. He's one of those players that could survive really on any tour in the world. I mean, he's a good player. I don't think he's marquee yet, that level, but he's getting there. And he's one of the young guns of golf right now. So we're still going to see for the next year or two these guys from Live get invited to the big tournaments, just depending on what happens, obviously, because there's still some fallout to go with all of these supposed merger and all that jazz. So we don't really know. But, yeah, for somebody like him, it's great. He gets to play on the big stage. And, I think you're going to hear his name again in the winner's circle in the next couple of years for sure.
All right. Well, when it comes to actually being on the golf course, let's talk about the rakes a little bit. So where should those rakes be? Should you place them inside the bunker or out of the bunker? I like to keep them on the edge there so that I can help out the fellow golfers. And if the ball gets a little close, it keeps you out of the sand and right there on the fringe of it.
Yeah, they definitely should be out of the bunker. I think maybe more on the back side of the bunkers away from the green. When you put them up on the green side above a hole, obviously it gives the chance to catch, like you said, where a ball maybe was going to trickle into the bunker. Now it's caught on a rake. Now we've got somebody asking for rulings and this, that, and the other, and it just caused a lot of confusion. So I would definitely put the rake in the least likely place for a ball to land. That being said, with golf, you just never know where the ball is going to go. So, but yeah, I mean, I played a little golf today myself, and the rake was sitting up on the top of the hill, and I thought that's a terrible place for that rake to be. It should have been off the back of the bunker, in my opinion, but who knows?
Yeah, there you go. How about a shot that we don't normally have to take, but if we do, we'll take a tip from Alan Watson. Hey, your ball lands on the golf cart or on the cart path. What do you do there in that situation? What's the best way to, not what do you do as far as a ruling, but let's say you're going to hit it off the cart path. What's the best approach to a shot like that?
I mean, if you're seriously going to hit it off the cart path, which you can legally take relief from the cart path, but if for some reason your relief is no better than the path itself, for whatever reason, you can hit it off the path, but you're going to want to choke up on the club. You're going to want to limit the lower body rotation a little bit. You're not going to want to get too super active because you don't want to accidentally slip or twist. Now, granted, most of us are not wearing metal spikes anymore because that's not the thing anyway. In the old days, you would have about fallen down wearing metal spikes on a cart path. But with rubber tread sole shoes now, it's not that big of a deal. I would choke up on the club. I would try to pick it as clean as I could so that I don't damage the golf club. But I think most people are just going to avoid that shot altogether. I've seen Phil Mickelson do it before with a 3-wood, and he absolutely shattered the golf club when he did it. Luckily, he had a tour truck there to fix him a new one for the rest of the tournament. But most of us don't have that option. Most people are not going to swing an expensive golf club on a cart path, but it can be done. I mean, you are allowed to play from there if you want to.
Did you know that Phil Mickelson was right-handed? I was searching through some trivia today and found that I did not know that he was actually naturally right-handed.
Yeah, I did know that, and that's kind of one of those quirky things in golf where a lot of times when people are learning when they're young, it's easier for a coach or a parent to sort of mirror the swing to a child. So if you're standing across from each other, one of you swinging one way, one swinging the other, and I think that might be part of the story of how he came to be left-handed, is because he was mirroring what his dad was doing. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's true. And, it's other than just harder to find equipment, there's nothing really wrong with playing golf left-handed. So.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And that's exactly how he did learn the game, with just mirroring how his dad played the game. So I thought that was interesting. If I did know that, I forgot that I knew that, so therefore I didn't know that. James, what you got?
On a right-handed versus left-handed shot, does the ball spin the other way versus a right-handed shot?
Yeah, it does. So if you have an inside-out club path, which is what we kind of call like a pro swing. So if you have an inside-out club path for a right-handed golfer, that's going to create a draw, making the ball go right to left. And then conversely, if you're a lefty, it goes left to right. So when we talk about a slice, which is the most dreaded shot in golf other than a shank, but we won't even talk about that. But in terms of shot path, most people, do tend to hit the ball off to the right. So if I'm hitting a cut or a slice, however you want to call it, for a right-handed golfer, that's going to be to the right, and for a left-handed golfer, it's going to be to the left. So, yeah, everything is opposite, and that can definitely get a little confusing sometimes if somebody comes in and says, oh, yeah, I really sliced it off to the left the other day, and I'm thinking, what are they talking about? And then if I find out they're left-handed, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, because I thought they were just, not knowing what they were talking about or whatever. So, yeah, it's backwards, but, and we see a decent amount of lefties in the shop, and I played golf today with a lefty, and, obviously, like I said, doesn't seem to be any kind of issues, other than some golf courses are laid out better for ball curving right versus left, but, that's going to be on you and your talent level and all that anyway, not which side of the ball you stand on.
So is there a rule in golf that says you can use a left or right-handed club, or do you have to stay one hand or the other throughout the tournament?
Switch golfer.
You could carry a mixed bag. I have a friend who played some pretty high-level golf through college and then a little bit after that, and he always played all right-handed clubs except his putter was left-handed. He was more comfortable putting left-handed. So you can mix up your bag. The only thing you can't do is go switch out clubs during a round unless something's damaged, and then you have to get permission from the ruling body there at the tournament. But you could tee off. You could have a left-handed and a right-handed driver in your bag if you were good enough to swing them both and use them for different types of shots. You could do that, or a wedge or whatever.
That's very interesting. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with the owner of Golf Plus, Alan Watson. Alan, let's say that you're on a par 3, and some of the most beautiful shots in golf is when we see that great amount of backspin. Now, obviously, that's going to be hard for a lot of us just regular old 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year golfers. But if you could give us a tip, what's the best way to try to create spin on the golf ball that will get that beautiful backspin on?
So the first thing is the setup. The ball has to be moved towards your back foot. So if we use our belly button or our zipper or whatever you want to pick as your center line, so we're talking about moving it for a right-handed golfer back towards the right foot a little bit. And that's going to allow you to then lean the club slightly forward in the handle in the grip area, so that you can create what's called forward shaft lean. If you're not leaning the hands in front of the ball and trapping the ball as you swing down on it, then you're not going to be able to create that kind of spin. So a lot of times I'll see guys, they'll play the ball way too far up in the front of their stance, and then their club will either be dead straight or their hands sometimes will even be behind the ball, which just adds loft and raises the bounce and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's terrible. It's not going to create that shot. So you've got to get that forward shaft lean. So if you watch any of the pros when they're playing really any shot except the driver, but especially on those 100 to 125 and in shots, chips, flops, anything like that, you're going to notice that heavy shaft lean. And so they're going to maintain that shaft lean throughout the swing. They're going to trap the ball, hit the ball first, and then down through to create that divot, and that's what creates that backspin. Obviously, speed helps, strength helps, but technique is king when it comes to spinning or at least stopping a ball.
Well, one thing that I've started to do, and I appreciate that tip. I'm going to try to employ that the next time that I got the opportunity to go play around. But one time, when I'm playing by myself, one of the ways I like to line putts up is I put a ball marker down and I just hit a putt, and then that gives me a good line for my real putt. No, I'm joking about that. But I would like you to give us a tip for lining up putts.
Well, the most important thing is to mark the ball first and then pick up the ball so that you can clean it if it's got any dirt or anything on it. But that also will then allow you to use the logo, or sometimes balls will have marks on the side now that are aligning aids, and so you want to get a few feet behind the ball, squat down a little bit and look at the line, look at the amount of, am I standing on a hill? Is my left foot higher than my right foot? Is there a significant, obvious break? Have I seen somebody else putt, somewhere near me before my turn, and I saw how the ball moved? And so once I've picked my line based on some of those factors, obviously we could go into all sorts of factors, but once I've picked my line, I'm going to put that ball back down in front of my mark with that alignment line, aiming at where I want to start that putt. And then, for me to be able to keep that putt moving on line, just keeping the elbows in as I'm making my putting stroke is a big key, because I find that if I let that right elbow especially sort of fly and get loose as I'm putting, that'll tend to make the putter move across, and instead of that, making it back and through the line. So I know that's a little hard to describe on the radio, but, definitely you can see the guys, the pros, you're always going to see them mark that ball, get behind it, look at their line, and then go set that ball back down in a way that allows them to at least know when they put that putter down, okay, that's my line, that's what I'm square to. That's the best thing I can say, but the rest of it's all visual, and obviously we can't do that.
How many practice swings is acceptable before it's like, all right, dude, go ahead and hit the ball?
I watched a guy in the group in front of us today take 2 or 3 practice swings before every shot, and then he was just a straight-up duffer, so he didn't need to be practicing at all. If you're taking practice swings and then launching the ball a massive 75 yards with your 4-iron, you should probably not, worry about the practice swings. But, honestly, the only time I take a practice swing is when I'm setting up for a chip, and I want to kind of test the ground conditions of where I'm chipping from. Other than that, a couple little swings with your putter, obviously, to sort of get the feel for how hard you're planning on hitting it. But to stand over a driver or stand over a 5-iron and just swing before you address the ball, probably not really going to do anything for you, for the average golfer.
And now for our favorite and final question of this segment. Give me a product that you are loving at Golf Plus right now.
Oh man, I was gonna say that's tough, but then I remembered the new irons that just came in, and it's gonna be easy. So we just got in these beautiful, what they're calling dark chrome, sort of a black misty finish irons from Strixon. They make the ZX5 and the ZX7, which are their 2 most popular models. The 7's a little more of a player's club. The 5's a little more of a everyman kind of game improvement club. And they're in this beautiful dark chrome with black shafts and black grips, and they're just really sexy, absolutely gorgeous, super limited. We only got a couple of sets at each store, and that's what I'm loving right now. Somebody's going to get an absolutely gorgeous set of some of our better selling irons anyway. That's a great selling iron. So to have it in a kind of a fun color, you can see it on our social media. You can see it on Strixon's website as well. But the dark chrome irons from Strixon, that's what I'm loving right now.
Yeah, and tell them about both of your locations real quick.
So we're in Dothan, 2571 Montgomery Highway, just up the hill from Beef O'Brady's and Old Navy in Dothan, Alabama. Been there 35 years. And then we've got our location here at Panama City Beach, right next to Firefly Restaurant at the shops at Edgewater, right across from the Edgewater Golf Villas and the little 9-hole Edgewater Golf Course on the corner of Front Beach, and R. Jackson. And we'd love to see you for fitting, repairs, whatever you need for golf.
Absolutely. Alan, thank you so much for your time, and we will chat with you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all as always.
Hey, appreciate you. That is Alan Watson, and he is the owner of Golf Plus, and he's not joking, man. Repairs, fittings, and you know, golf is one of those games. I think any game, like be it pickleball, whatever, you know, you start getting into it and you're just like, oh man, what kind of gadgets can I get that will make my game better? And I would say that one of the first things, if you have golf clubs, go up there to Golf Plus and, you know, pursue getting fit, and they'll tell you if you take your clubs up there, right, and you're like, well, I need to get fit, and then they throw you on the simulator, and then Alan will be like, you know what, you really don't need to get fit. Maybe we either look at some other irons or, you know, something else, but they're going to keep it real with you. They've got a very knowledgeable staff, and then they also have a lot of great accessories to go along with everything. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout, then we're going to be right back with some traffic jam and trivia on this day and headlines.
Take ESPN Northwest Florida with you everywhere you go.
Anytime, anyplace, anywhere.
The sports talk and live play-by-play doesn't have to end when you get out of the car. The ESPN Northwest Florida app streams your favorite sports talk hosts and the biggest games in ultra-high fidelity.
This is of utmost importance in travel.
Take the sports talk monster with you anywhere you go. Available for Android and iPhone.
Use it anywhere or any place.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Thursday. Some sun the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze out of the south around 13 miles per hour, and look for it to be 66. Tonight, there will be some clouds and very light showers with the temperature reaching 63. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high of 70. Saturday will have a high of 66 and sunshine. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Often imitated, never duplicated. The official sports station of the Panhandle. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Oh, yeah, baby. We are back. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs in the Doghouse. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can give us a call or text at 850-215-6290. We're going to play a little traffic jam and trivia. And at first, I said, who has appeared on the most Sports Illustrated covers? But actually, I want the top three. Give me the top three athletes that have appeared on the most Sports Illustrated covers. And I don't think that it would be surprising. I think just giving me the number one answer would be way too much of a softball, because even asking for the top three answers is still pretty much a softball. And if you go back to, I think it was 2 years ago when we started, I say we, when Kyle Wright and the Right On Sports crew started the Goat of Goats tournaments, which I was so lucky, they let me in on the opportunity of chatting with them about those things. These guys were in the bulk of the conversation. So who has appeared, the top three? Give me the top three athletes that have appeared on the most Sports Illustrated covers. 850-215-6290. Caveman Rick is chiming in. I don't think it's on Facebook. I see it in the Show Builders group, and he's already named off the top two athletes. Very easy. This is an easy question. We're going to hook you up with an ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt. We're also going to give you a gift certificate to not the, but that boot store and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. And on top, well, not on top of that, this has nothing to do with it, but just be on the lookout in the future. Last year, we sent a couple of people up there to Talladega. I think that is in the works again. So be listening for that. But right now, just $25 to not the, but that boot store, 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. And we will add in an ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt if we got your size. If not, we'll still give you one. But we've got Coach Olds on the line. It's going to be his once every 30 days. My man is calling in and winning. Coach Olds, I know that you got this one in the bag. Who are the top 3 athletes who have the most Sports Illustrated covers?
Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, LeBron James.
Oh, yeah. Do you know the amount of covers that they have?
LeBron's 25, Michael Jordan's in the 50s, and then I think Muhammad Ali is somewhere in the 30s.
Pretty close, yeah. Michael Jordan's got 50, Muhammad Ali's got 40, and LeBron James with 25. Coach, what do you think happens tonight over there in Jacksonville with the Lady Rams taking on Bishop Kenny?
This is the year. This is the year. I think we got to start. We got to not turn the ball over, but this is our best shot we've had ever. I think it's our year to get them. We got a fan bus going down there, so they got a lot of fans. A lot of Rutherford, about 50 Rutherford students went out there today with teachers. So yeah, we took a bus load today. So we got a lot of support going there. A lot of families going there. I'm umpiring baseball, so unfortunately I'm not there. I have tennis and softball today. But I think we got a good shot.
That is a big deal. And, Coach, also on your social media, I see that you're getting into umpiring college softball. Talk about that jump for a little bit for between going from high school to collegiate softball. What is the difficulty in calling the pitches?
There's no leeway no more. The strike has to be a strike. And everything is so fast at that next level. You have to make sure you're going every play, because the plays that would not be made in high school are made consistently in the collegiate level. The girls are going full speed every play, and it's just like you got to hustle, got to be in position to see these things that you would normally expect in high school that you won't play would not be made, but it's made at a routine basis almost now. Yeah. And the hustle is just so much different in the collegiate level. Like, they go after it every pitch, every time.
Yeah, I was at some of the Gulf Coast games that I've been to. I'm just like, man, like I thought it was tough in high school calling those games, and then to see, and it is tough. I'm not taking anything away from it. Just saying that watching those pitches in college, I'm like, goodness gracious, I barely even see the ball when I'm standing behind the blue trying to get an idea. So kudos to you guys. I know that's a heck of a job. How often do y'all have to get y'all's eyes checked?
Every year I go get my CDL for driving the bus. So I get my eyes checked every summer. In the summer, make sure everything's good, because it helps me out at the collegiate level, because, like I said, they bring the heat, and it is they try to paint the corners right there. And Gulf Coast is going to have a really good year. They have a lot of great pitching. So this is going to be a really good year for Gulf Coast.
Absolutely. Coach, thanks so much for hanging on the line with us for a little bit longer, and you know where to come pick your stuff up. We look forward to seeing you.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much.
All right, that is Coach Olds. I mean, umpire extraordinaire, coach extraordinaire. He just got done with boys soccer. Now he's helping out with baseball, drives the buses for the teams. I mean, phenomenal human being. Blessed to have been able to get to know him over these last couple of years. Also helps out with over there at Shipwreck. Just an amazing human being, as much of you are, as well, really everyone that I've met through this radio station. It's been an absolute pleasure. If I've been ever able to shake your hand and meet you and learn your name, it's been a blessing to me, and I appreciate you guys. 1860, let's do a little on this day in 1860. Organized baseball played in San Francisco for the first time between the Eagles and the Red Rovers, which, James, I don't know if you've seen any of the latest today on some of the baseball uniforms, but those pants could end up being a little bit of a debacle.
Or just get more people to watch.
It might, man. It might. You might have a few different demographics headed to MLB stadiums to watch the games here, man. And that might not have nothing on Taylor Swift.
My only issue with the jerseys is the lack of actually sewing to it. They're just screen printing everything on, man. Like you do, like you said earlier with the kids. You know, that's what a kids team does. I mean, even high schools nowadays don't even have it printed on. They'll get them stitched on.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was playing hockey way back when in the 2000s in high school, we even had our stuff stitched on. Come on, MLB. You got more money than me. I know you can do this.
Exactly. Like Taylor Ward said, I mean, it's like a ripoff of a jersey, and it does not feel like a $450 jersey. Just kind of wild to see some of these things and hear how some of the baseball players are complaining. I did get to check out any of the Dodgers, I think it's Padres spring training game.
14-1.
Dodgers?
14-1 Dodgers, top of the 8th.
Shohei get a home run?
I'll find out for you.
He's got 50 at-bats, or they say that he's going to get 50 at-bats in preseason. On the Inside Drive today, we kind of gave our predictions for spring training home runs for Shohei Ohtani. So let's open this up to the floor for people as we continue on with On This Day. But give me the number of home runs. If Shohei Ohtani gets 50 at-bats, how many home runs will Shohei hit in spring training? I've got the number at 6. I think Ryan went with 15, and Jay went with 20. I can't remember the number for Caveman Rick. I want to say he went with 9. Yeah, he went with 9. So give me your number, 850-215-6290. We'll shout it out here, or you can follow along with us on Facebook, on YouTube, or Twitter. But if you leave your comments on YouTube or Twitter, good chance I don't see them until after the show. But the ones on Facebook, I will read those out as well. How many home runs will Shohei Ohtani hit here in spring training when he's attempting to have, or supposed to have, 50 at-bats? What you got?
So no Shohei today for the Dodgers, but I'll join the spirit of the numbers. I'm just going to go with 2. I'm thinking a little lower here because it is spring training, so especially with a guy like Ohtani, and they're not just sending him out there just to go, have a regular baseball game. They're going to send him out there to look for certain things. Like, hey, you need to work on your sliders, so just sit. Like, if it's fastball, just sit on it. So you're going to see a lot more of that than just going out there and it's like, ooh, big old juicy fastball. You're not going to see that as much.
That's a wise answer. That's a very wise answer because that's how it goes a lot of the times. You kind of know that more so firsthand than what we do. But that's a good point, is sit on this pitch. Don't swing at anything else unless it is that pitch. And then so if he's getting fed sliders, though, maybe so, because the dude rakes, and just every time I watch some of his BP cuts, I'm like, oh, goodness gracious, dude.
He's just got a swing that is just, you got guys out there that, you look at him swinging and you're like, man, that guy is just working it.
Yeah.
But you just watch Shohei take a swing. It's just like, it's so much graceful flow and natural to it. It's just like everything moves as it should. It's not like, watching Andrew Jones hit back in the day was great.
Yeah.
But it was like watching a machine going slam.
Yeah.
It wasn't smooth.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things that I ever took away from Andrew Jones as far as his batting stance was the timing toe tap that he used with his left foot, front foot in the batter's box. That was something that we were kind of taught as well in Little League, but it wasn't as pronounced, and the more that I pronounced it, the better that my timing was on certain pitches. That's for sure. But would you say that Shohei may have the smoothest swing since Griffey? Is that fair to say? He? Or is that
might. It is a nice swing to watch.
It really is. And this year, just imagine how that's going to be when he's not focusing on trying to do two things throughout the year in pitching and hitting. All right, so 1860 was organized baseball played in San Francisco for the first time between the Eagles and the Red Rovers in 1888. And after this one, James, feel free to take over on this day for us. In 1888 on this day, father of American golf, John Reed, first demonstrates golf on a Yonkers cow pasture to friends. Take over from there, James.
All right, and on this day, 1893, the first Iron Bowl takes place. The Auburn Tigers beat the Alabama Crimson Tide 32-22 in Birmingham.
War Eagle.
And it's one of those, it's like, wow, I forget that way back when they did play spring football.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a little bit later in the later into like the 1910s-ish that it became a fall sport that we know it.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep on going. 1933, Malcolm Campbell sets the world land speed record, 272.46 miles per hour, driving his famous Bluebird car at the Daytona Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. I bet it looked a lot different back then.
Oh, absolutely,
I bet it was still the whole sand on the beach thing. That would have been cool to go to, I got to say.
This Daytona Beach has came up a lot today between the Inside Drive and now here on the Afternoon Underdogs.
1959, the inaugural Daytona 500. Lee Petty and Joe Beecham crossed the finish line side by side. Beecham declared the unofficial winner, but the ruling 3 days later by NASCAR founder Bill France Sr. said it would go to Lee Petty.
How about that, man? Imagine what the books were feeling like in those days because they weren't as prominent and known. So maybe
it was probably just a dude in the back alley going, hey, you in on
who
this,
you
man?
got on this?
I got a book. You want to go?
There you go.
Let's see. 1979, Billy Martin named manager of the Oakland A's.
The next one's a big one.
This one, 1980, the Miracle on Ice. The U.S. hockey team defeats the favorited Soviet Union 4-3 in Lake Placid. Biggest upset in Olympic hockey. Now, the Americans do go on to win the gold medal. Many people forget. This was not the gold medal game.
Finland.
This was the semifinal game. Yes.
Yes.
And against Finland, going into the third period, the U.S. was down 2-1.
Really?
Yep.
2-1.
Came back to win 4-2 against the Finns to win the gold medal, their first gold medal since 1960, and still only the 2 gold medals the U.S. men's team has won. I'm still sad about this. Very, very sad. Let's see, 2018 U.S. Women's Olympic hockey team gets their first gold medal in 20 years when they defeat the Canadians in a 4-3 shootout victory in Pyeongchang. That was, I remember that game.
Yeah.
I watched that game. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't do a lot better in that one because we had a stacked team that year.
A lot of like hockey wives of NHL players were on that team, weren't they?
And actually a lot of those girls were married to each other on the opposite side of the border, so that's actually kind of always fun to watch too. It's like, oh man, she just nailed her wife. How? Man, what's that conversation going to be like later?
That's an element I was not ready for. I'm so thankful for you, James. Let's get that last one in before we get to a break.
2019, Robert Kraft, owner of the NFL New England Patriots, gets charged with soliciting prostitution as part of a human traffic scheming at Jupiter, Florida, in one of those massage parlors.
Hey, when your craft makes you a lot of money, you can be just like Robert Kraft. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to go ahead and take a quick time out, and we're going to keep the conversation hockey-related. Andrew Weiss on the horn with us next. We'll talk some Bolts and whatever else topics you guys want for some NHL.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Thursday. Some sun the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze out of the south around 13 miles per hour and look for it to be 66. Tonight, there will be some clouds and very light showers with the temperature reaching 63. Partly sunny tomorrow with a high of 70. Saturday will have a high of 66 and sunshine. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job, it's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control. Our family protecting your family.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Call in with your questions, hot takes, and rants at 850-215-6290.
Now, I'm sure that most of you have used a dial telephone before.
The Sports Talk Monster.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. This is our number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 right here in Panama City and also 101.9 in Port St. Joe. The Warrior Beach Retreat Salute. They've already had the parade. The flyover commenced 15 minutes ago, but tonight at 7 p.m., the ceremony will be held at First Baptist Church, which the address there, 640 Grace Avenue. That's downtown Panama City. Ceremony starts at 7. Admission is free and it is open to the public. And the speaker will be Colonel Allen West. He is U.S. Army retired and a U.S. Congressman. Make sure y'all get over there. Admission's free. It's open to the public. If you have nothing going on, then get over there this evening. It'll be a great time. Now we're on the line with Andrew Weiss. Andrew, what's going on, man? Let's talk a little hockey.
Oh, there's never a better thing in the world than when we get to talk hockey here. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, let's start off with one of the big pieces of just hockey in general before we dive into the Bolts. The Penguins retiring that number 68 for Jaromir Jagr. Do you think the Penguins should sign him for power play 1, as Evgeny Malkin said?
Well, it's almost funny. The Penguins power play on paper, you look at their roster, it's ridiculous, of course, how talented they are, the talent they have. That they've had for years. You got Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby. You add in Erik Karlsson. You know, Chris Letang's still around there. Jake Gensel before he got hurt. And they've been one of the worst power play units in the league this year. And it's honestly incredible seeing the ineptitude of that unit, considering the talent that's there. So, at this point, Jaromir Jagr, yeah, he's got some gray in the beard, that's for sure. But I don't think he would help the power play too much, but at this point you can't really hurt the power play considering how bad it's been. So why not stick the old man right in front of the net, let him tip some pucks and see what he can do.
And he's still playing hockey in the Czech Republic for the team that he owns, right?
Yeah, he's playing for, I don't know how to pronounce it specifically. It's spelled like Kladno.
Yeah.
If anyone that is from Czech is listening, I'm butchering it, I apologize. But yeah, He's still kicking at 52 years old, playing Czech hockey. It's ridiculous. The man lives, breathes, eats, drinks, sleeps hockey. That's feels like all he wants to do is play hockey for the rest of his life, which I can't blame him. It's impressive.
I wonder what his contract looks like when he's paying himself there. Is he the highest paid or the lowest paid player on the team?
He's been the majority owner there since 2011. It's just like what do those contract negotiations look like? Does he sit on one end of the desk and say something, and then run to the other side of the desk and has a retort and just keeps going back and forth like a ping pong game?
Oh, that's good stuff. But give me a story, if you have one, on Jaromir Jagr. Like, what is a story that just stands out to you when it comes to one of the greatest guys to touch the ice in the NHL?
I mean, how much time you got? I could give you on-ice stories, off-ice stories. This is a guy that told teams when he was drafted in 1990, he told all the other teams that were looking at him, the first 10 picks, I am not going to come over from, I believe at the time was still Czechoslovakia. I'm not going to come over. I'm not going to come over. Don't draft me. I'm not going to come over. And then when the Penguins talked to him, he was like, yes, absolutely. I'll come right now. And that's because he wanted to play with his idol, Mario Lemieux. And the two of them went off and, 2 Stanley Cups in his first 2 years with the Penguins, putting up some absurd point totals, 149-point season in 95, 96. I have it in front of me. I don't have that memorized. But I had to pull it up just to make sure I got my numbers right. But multiple 100-point seasons, the captain of the Penguins for a few years. This is a guy that was one of the biggest characters in the league, just an incredibly talented guy who was so strong, great balance. Like, you just could not push him off the puck. And when he clocks in at 6'2", 230s, 240s, that's a big guy. You're not gonna knock him down all that well. So, it was honestly incredibly impressive seeing him on the ice. And the fact he picked up 5 Art Ross trophies, 2 Stanley Cups, 3-time MVP voted on by players, like, all the talent was there. And I can tell you all the talent. But I think really that my favorite story, and maybe I'll keep it PG for the radio, but my favorite story was when he hooked up with a model back in Czech, and the next morning she woke up and took a picture of him sleeping in the bed, and she threatened to blackmail him. She said, "If you don't give me money," and I don't remember the exact details, so I don't want to allege the wrong things here necessarily, but basically it was on the lines of, if you don't give me money, I'm going to leak this photo to the press and show that you were sleeping with some 20-year-old model and you're in your 30s or 40s. And he basically took the picture and posted it on his Instagram and said, "Look look at me."
And there you go.
Which honestly, that's impressive. And the reason I think that's such a funny story is obviously like the confidence of he does not care, but also the fact that when he went to Pittsburgh this last week for the jersey retirement, he was thanking different people. He was thanking his girlfriend, and he said, she's too young to remember me in Pittsburgh, but I appreciate her being here.
Yeah, $2,000 as what it looks like the number was, though, according to hookedonhockeymagazine.com. So great stuff there, Andrew. We'll move on to the Tampa Bay Lightning here, and they lead the wild card spot right now over the Detroit Red Wings, but they've got a bad record on the road. How do they fix that with 3 games on the road coming up after the game versus the Washington Capitals tonight at Amalie?
Well, you find ways. It's been ugly on the road this year, to say the least. I mean, if you look at the record overall in the season, in general, 30 wins in 57 games, it's impressive. It's like, all right, that's they're holding on to that wild card spot by 1 point over the Red Wings. The Red Wings actually are ahead of the Lightning if you go by point percentage, but that's assuming that games will be won when they don't necessarily end up with wins. But if you look at the Lightning, 18 wins at home. That's tied with the Bruins for the most in the division. That's tied for second best in the Eastern Conference, and tied for, I think, 5th in the entire league. That would be an easy playoff spot for a team, having that kind of impressive numbers at home. The issue is the road. Like you mentioned, 12, 15-2 on the road. Their 12 wins, that's less than the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres have a winning record on the road, and they're well behind the Lightning in the playoff race. Like, it's honestly not just below average, it's dismal. And for a team that desperately needs points for a playoff spot, they have to figure it out. And really, it's just stopping the puck. 195 goals this year for the Lightning is one of the top numbers in the entire league. In fact, if you pull it up, 195 goals would be tied for 5th. Like, that's a lot of firepower that the team has. And obviously, a lot of it is the key Kucherov. But then you look at the goals allowed. Here's the bottom of the league right now. San Jose, 211. Columbus, 206. Chicago, 202. Montreal 201, Anaheim 200, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning at 193. I just listed 5 teams who only one of those teams has over 50 points this year, let alone the 65 the Lightning do. All 5 of those teams will be in the draft lottery this year, and 4 of those 5 teams make up the bottom 4 teams in the league. So for the Lightning to be in that category, like, yes, they started off with Andre Vasilevsky missing from the lineup for the first 2 months of the year, but there's still no excuses. They have to figure out how to keep pucks out of their net. The defensive system has worked the last 2 months. It's gotten much better, but it's just mistakes. It's little mistakes here and there that has cost them dearly in games, especially on the road.
Yeah, and that blue line, obviously Sergachev came back, and then that very game he was I just dismantled his leg there. So how does that injury affect the blue liners, and what would you like to see the Bolts like maybe make a splash at the deadline? What do you think the Tampa Bay Lightning do there to shore up what's in front of Andre Vasilevsky?
Well, that's really the issue with the Sergachev injury. Obviously, it's heartbreaking seeing a guy who was out for a month and a half, 2 months. If you think about the human side of this, think about the emotions, being unavailable for a month or 2 months, and then finally battling back, getting in the lineup, getting healthy, and then suffering an even worse injury. Like, that's mentally tough. So it's not easy for him, and hopefully he gets back sooner than later. But for the Lightning, this is a team that won the Cup back-to-back years on the force of the left side of their defense. You were rolling out Victor Hedman, Ryan McDonough, Mikhail Sergachev, all 3 of your defensive pairings with a stud on the left side. You could throw anyone out there on the right side. They could really work with them. And they basically did. Jan Ruda with Hedman and, a mix and match with Sergachev throughout the years. So it was Zach Bogosian, Luke Shen, whoever it might be. But, Eric Chernak's still on that right side. But that left side has weakened significantly with the loss of Sergachev. And it's really, to me, that's the most important part that they have to fix going into the trade deadline, is finding a left-handed defenseman. And really, a defenseman in general. Before Sergachev went down, they were probing the market for a defenseman because they need to shore that up. That goals allowed obviously cannot continue, but even more so now, losing a guy who can eat 20 minutes a night. And I get Lightning fans, there's some consternation with, his contract is this, and he's making these mistakes, whatever. But this is a guy that does a lot of little things right for the Lightning, and you don't always see it. And yes, he's made mistakes this season and last, but he's been a very good defenseman for them, an above-average defenseman for them, and it's really hard to replace a guy like that. So with the defensive core right now, Victor Hedman and Eric Chernak are really the 2 guys that I feel comfortable with on the ice. Darren Radish and Nick Purvis on the right side, they've been fine this year. I don't know what they'll look like in the playoffs. I hope they can do well. I really would love to have seen before the Sergachev injury, bringing in a more consistent top 4 right-handed defenseman, but now you have to really go with those guys. You have to fill that left side because it was weak behind Sergachev to begin with. Calvin DeHaan and Hayden Fleury kind of rotating in on that third pair. Now it's the 2 of them both playing. Emil Lilleberg has come up from the minors. He's been phenomenal for them, but again, he's a rookie. So they desperately need a left-handed defenseman. I wouldn't mind seeing 2 defensemen and maybe some scoring depth, like a middle 6 winger could really help bolster the depth of this team. It's been a lot of Nikita Kucherov and company, but that's really where the market would look if I'm a Lightning fan. If I'm Julian Brisebois, Lightning GM, that's where I'm looking to make moves. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of help for the Lightning in terms of what they can trade. They don't have a lot of draft picks, not a lot of stockpile of assets they can use. They don't have a lot of draft picks in the next few years. They don't have a lot of prospects, high-end prospects that are worthwhile in a trade that other teams might ask for, look for. So it's going to be tough, to be honest with you. If anyone can do it, it's Julian Brisebois in this front office, but it's going to be very tough to find assets to give up to make these moves happen.
Well, looking a little bit at the future and the past of the Chicago Blackhawks, what do you expect from Connor Bedard's first game against Patrick Kane when Detroit heads to Chicago this Sunday? And that game will start at 6 Central Time, 7 Eastern.
Honestly, I'm very excited. It's, like you said, the future and the past, and it's honestly the present as well. The way Connor Bedard's been playing since coming back from his broken jaw, he's just a phenomenal talent, phenomenal. And he's going to be giving Blackhawks fans hope for a very long time. Patrick Kane was part of a phenomenal dynasty for the Blackhawks in the early 2010s. He teamed up with Jonathan Toews. Bedard right now doesn't have a running mate like Kane did. He doesn't have a Taves. There's really no one else in that roster, honestly, top to bottom, that sticks out as a significant contributor, star level. They're not going to be finding anyone like Bedard, but even like a Taves, like that kind of star level. There's some talent there for sure. There's some young guys in the wings. I like some of their young guys in general. I don't know if they're a guy or, more than that. But to be honest, there's still some young guys that can maybe step up and make something happen. Whether it's Lucas Reichel in the minors now. I like Alex Vlasic on the blue line. Kevin Korchinski was a first-round pick very recently. I mean, he's a kid. He's still doing some good work there for Chicago, but not a lot of goaltending as of yet. They have some guys in the pipeline. Not a lot of defensemen outside of the guys I mentioned. As of yet and forward-wise, it's a whole lot of random veterans on the roster kind of filling spots. So, in terms of future versus present, I'm very excited to see what Bedard can do against Patty Kane, but he's going to need a lot more help around him, much like Kane did in his career with guys like Duncan Keith, Jonathan Taves, Corey Crawford, Brent Seabrook, those kind of guys.
On this day in 1980, the American team were able to push past the Soviet Union and then go on against Finland to win the gold. And now we've got our American Austin Matthews, who may play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and maybe we're not a big fan of that, but tearing it up with his 50 and 51st goal, breaking his own record of the amount of games that it took him to get to those 50 goals, which last time it took him 62 games. How impressive is it for Austin Matthews, and what do you think that means to the future of the sport for the young Americans trying to play that game?
I mean, it's Austin Matthews is on a stupid good tear right now. Like, to put up 50 goals in 54 games and be on pace for over 70 goals when 60 goals was basically unattainable outside of one or two guys having an amazing year since the dead puck era started. Like, offense has jumped up the last 2 years for sure. I mean, we have guys putting up 120 plus points, whereas Jamie Benn won the Art Rouse Trophy for most points in the league in 2015, I think it was, with 87 points. Like, it's definitely changed, but even still, 70 goal pace is absurd. And I think it's incredibly ironic that the mecca of hockey in Toronto, it's all about Canada and Canadians and the future of the sport, blah, blah. And their very best player, not just this year, but potentially the greatest player in Maple Leafs history, is an American from Arizona, a Sunbelt area, right? Like, that's some crazy script writing from the NHL right there.
There we go.
It's honestly so impressive what he's doing, and it's as a Lightning fan, it's scary, and I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it, but it's really, really motivational for young Americans, not just seeing an American guy in the center of the hockey world doing what he's doing, crazy stuff, but also a guy from Arizona, from California, all these different things. Like, that just tells anyone that's out there, no matter where you're playing, you have an opportunity to go do something. If you're good enough, you'll go. Doesn't matter where you're from. And that's the most important thing for Americans, especially just because of the fact that hockey in Canada, it's their sport nationally. Like, they all play hockey for the most part, or at least there's opportunities and there's a general acknowledgement of wanting to do that. Whereas in America, it's more common to find other sports. Canada hockey is the biggest sport. There's still other sports for sure. There's still basketball and lacrosse and all these other opportunities. But in America, especially down here in Florida, you're seeing football and baseball, basketball, all their sports, other options. It's not as common to find hockey. But if you are into hockey, whether you're in Minnesota or Massachusetts, or you're down here in Florida, you're out in California and Arizona, you're in North Carolina, you're in Texas, wherever it might be, it's proof that anyone who works hard enough, becomes good enough, and does the right things can have success.
That's a great answer there. I really enjoy that, Andrew. Got time for one more quick one right here. We talked about the road woes for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, a team who was on the road in Amalie the other night, the Florida Panthers, just absolutely trouncing the Tampa Bay Lightning. How hard are those Florida Panthers looking for their 12th win in a row on the road?
I mean, they've been phenomenal this year, and they were good last year. They were good year before that. Like, people forget, not last year, but the year before, they were the President's Trophy winning team. Like, they had a dominant year, and they fell apart in the playoffs. They lost the Lightning, and they just did not seem to recover. And then the very next season, they faltered out of the gate, and people wrote them off. They barely snuck into the playoffs last year, but they were still the team that can put up crazy points and do well and, advance. And they did. They went all the way to the Stanley Cup final. They were still the President's Trophy winning team with a few pieces swapped out. And it's still funny to me that if the Chicago Blackhawks don't beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in the last game of the year, the Penguins make the playoffs over the Panthers. Panthers don't go to the Stanley Cup final. And the Blackhawks don't win the draft lottery and get Connor Bedard. And it's crazy how one game can make all this difference. But the Panthers, with that confidence coming from that cup run, they're buzzing. They've played phenomenal defense. They don't allow anything. They're still a high-octane scoring team, but they've been even better defensively. That's really the key. Teams that can't allow goals, that don't allow goals, they'll find success home or road. And they've been the best road team in the league this year.
Oh, man, so watch out for them house money cats down the stretch, and hopefully those Bolts can avoid its first 3-game losing streak since it lost 4 in a row back in the end of November and early December. Andrew, thanks so much for giving us some of your time and catching us up on the world of hockey and what's going on in the NHL. Take care, my friend. We'll chat with you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. You're a lot of fun and a wealth of knowledge. Coming up next, we're going to be talking some college softball with the managing editor for College Softball Central, Sydney Fields, a great friend of the show.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This Saturday, it's a college basketball doubleheader as the Washington Huskies travel to the McHale Memorial Center in Tucson to take on the Wildcats of Arizona. Coverage starts at 12:30. Then, your number 14th ranked Auburn Tigers are in Athens to battle the Georgia Bulldogs. Coverage starts at 4:30. Tip-off at 5 on your home for college basketball on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. A variety of some clouds and light sprinkles tonight with a wind at 13 miles per hour out of the southwest and a low of 63. Tomorrow morning, look for some clouds with a temperature near 69. In the afternoon and evening, a high around 70 and mostly sunny. Saturday, quite warm with a high of 66 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. And a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Weekdays from 4 till 6. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're back inside the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife, and now we're going to transition into a little college softball here with our good friend Sydney Fields. She is the managing editor for College Softball Central. Go follow them on Twitter. Just type in College Softball Central and get you a good follow. She's also a writer at Sport and Story for LSU, University of New Mexico, and San Jose State University. And she's got to cover her Arkansas Razorbacks at Hogs Plus. You can follow all three of those sites over there on Twitter. Sydney, what's going on? It's been a while.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, it has been a while.
Great to have you back on with us. So tell us about all these things you're doing now. I mean, last year, I know that you started growing in all of your ventures in the world of sports, and then I look at your Twitter page, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, how do you even find enough time in a day to cover all of those things?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I work for a company called Sport and Story, and we're with a bunch of different universities across the country. And I do their daily emails for LSU, New Mexico, San Jose State, and we also have Hogs Plus, and I run their social media accounts, and we have some really cool content over there.
I bet you have had a lot of challenges to overcome in the past year or so, and I bet it's been worth every single one of those challenges.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I absolutely love what I do.
Yes, and being able to talk about the game that you love has got to be a lot of fun as well. So before we get into some of the other questions that I had for you, have we had any notable upsets in the game of softball early here in the season?
Oh, yeah, we had some good ones early on. Florida State was upset. I think it was Long Beach. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were upset early on. I think it was their first game, but they kind of bounced back and then took a couple losses. But they were to some really good teams. UCLA came out looking not so hot. They look like they've gone down quite a bit from their previous years. And then there's been some other ones around the country, but those are two big ones that stand out to me.
Yeah, Charlotte taking down Florida State there early in the season, 6-5.
Right.
They were number 4. I'm just looking this up. It's not like I had this at the back of my head or anything. Just when you mentioned it, I hit the old Google machine there. But give me 3 favorites this year. You know, one thing that we look forward to here at the beginning of the season is the end of the season, and that doesn't matter what sport it is. And it kind of stinks that we do that because then it just feels like we rush through it all. But here we are at the beginning. Give me 3 favorites to watch out for this year.
Obviously, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's Oklahoma. They rebuild, and they just build up every year. They've had some pretty dominant wins already, haven't lost yet. Who knows when they'll lose, if they'll lose. But, yeah, they're going for their 3rd straight, I believe. Texas is also a really good one. Usually, to me, they're pretty overrated. But this year, they really are the real deal. They absolutely demolished UCLA early on in the season, and they're still 7-0. They just look really good. Like, it's Oklahoma, Texas, and then kind of a big gap to number 3, in my opinion. But I also think LSU is one to look out for. They have a good team every year, but they never kind of have it fully together. But this year, they have some really good ranked wins. They beat number 6 Oklahoma State last weekend. They beat Washington. Or no, I think it was Northwestern. One of the two. I think it was Northwestern. But they have some good ranked wins, and they seem to finally have it all together this year. So I think that they could make a run to Oklahoma City this year.
Ethan chimes in. He says he's shocked that an Arkansas fan thinks Texas is usually overrated. Is there any bias there?
Maybe just a little bit. Hey, Ethan. Maybe a little bit, but Texas usually is overrated, and I'm not the biggest fan of their head coach, Mike White, but he's doing a really good job this season.
There you go. Stand on that, Sydney. Give me 3 underdogs to keep an eye on as we move throughout the season.
3 underdogs would be South Carolina. They got a really good transfer class coming in. They got Alana Vaughter, a pitcher from Stanford. She was dubbed one of the best in the country. And they got Denver Bryant from Auburn. She's just a stud. But yeah, they've done really well so far this year. They were kind of bottom of the SEC last year up until the tournament. They kind of showed some fight, and they did really well towards the end of the season. So I think they're definitely one to look out for. And then Mississippi State is another one. They were predicted to finish last in the SEC. And now, after 9 games, they're ranked number 20 overall. They're 8-1. They just beat UCF today, which UCF is always a good team down there, and I think they're really a team to look out for. They have great pitching. One of their pitchers had started the game with back-to-back complete game shutouts, or started the season, and they're just really good. I think they're going to shock a lot of people. And then another one is ECU. They have only lost one game. They lead the country. They have two players. One of them leads the country in RBIs. One of them leads the country in hits. And I don't know. They look. You know, you never really heard ECU in the softball world. They're not a team anyone really talks about, but they look to be pretty good this year.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're chatting with Sydney Fields. She is the managing editor for College Softball Central. If you follow softball at all, you need to be following them over there on Twitter. And if you don't follow softball, well, you need to start. It's one of the fastest growing sports. Barbara Crawford says that she is watching, and I'm sure she's watching because of you, and we appreciate you, Sydney. Let's go over to the class of their conference and just kind of give me who you think will be the champion. We'll start with the ACC. Who ends up winning the ACC this year?
Florida State. I think they figure it out. They've taken 3 losses, but they have a really great coach who has a lot of experience, and she's really good at what she does. So I think they'll turn things around and end the season on a high note and win the conference. All right, we'll move on over to the Big Ten. Who do you think comes away as the champion in the Big Ten? I'm going to go with Penn State. I'm going to leave the Northwestern behind and go with Penn State. They haven't lost yet. They beat a really good Arkansas team down in Florida, so I'm going to roll with them. All right. Who were you kind of, when you were thinking about that, who was the other team that you were pitting them up against? Northwestern, gotcha. And then we'll move to the Big 12. Who do you like out of the Big 12? Final year here for Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma. Easy money, right? I don't see anyone challenging them too much, except for Texas. That'll be a really good conference to watch this season. All right, we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll go out west real quick to the Pac-12 before we get into the SEC. Who wins the Pac-12 for you this year, Sydney? I'm going to go with Washington. I think they finally dethrone UCLA. There we go. That'll be fun to watch, too. I love the storylines you're giving me here. I'm taking notes, getting ready to watch the games. And then who wins it all in the SEC? That's a tough conference to come out of, but who do you think wins it? That's such a tough one right now because Georgia looks so dominant right now. Tennessee looks dominant. LSU looks dominant. I'm going to have to go with Georgia, I think. Okay, I know them Dog fans are going to love that on top of the world 2 years in a row in college football, and then just one little SEC championship loss, and that kind of dethroned them from there. What did you think about that in college football this year, though, them leaving out Florida State? Did you agree with that, or would you have liked to see Florida State in? As an Alabama fan, I still think Florida State should have been in. Yeah, I'm with you. It's such a hard thing because it's like, you look at Florida State's situation at the time and all that, but at the same time, they did everything right. They didn't lose a game. You know, they did what you need to do to make the college football playoff, and I think they definitely got snubbed. Are you excited for the college football game by chance, or are you hoping for a college softball game? We've never had one of those, and how cool would that be? I am so excited for the college football game. I played that as a kid. You know, every single year got the new one, and I am super excited for it to come back. Yeah, 10 years. Also, a college softball game would be really cool. Dude, I mean, in the day and age of where we're at with video games, I think it would be awesome to have a college softball game. I know I would be stoked about that, and I could only imagine the way that the game is growing, you add a video game into that mix, like women's college basketball, college softball, and other sports, but those two sports right now are growing at a very high rate. And it's a lot of fun, and I think it's great for sports in general, but to add a video game into the mix would be absolutely amazing. Let's talk about some players of the year, Sydney. Give me 3 player of the year candidates that we should be watching out for this year. All right. The first one would be Georgia's Sydney Kuma. She's killing it so far this year. She's hit 3 home runs already. Her batting average so far is a .636, and she's just super dominant at the plate. She's been killing it, so I think she's one to look out for. Number 2, I got to be a homer and go with a Razorback. I'm going to go Bree Ellis. She's the biggest name in the transfer portal this offseason. She was the freshman of the year 2 years ago, coming from Auburn. She's just a dog, and she already has 3 home runs, 12 RBI. She's a beast at the plate. I mean, she's bringing somebody in every time she's at the plate if anybody's on base. So
let's go. Bringing the Hogs home.
Going Bree. Oh, yeah. And then last one, I'll go Jada Coleman. She's a outfielder for Oklahoma. Most people have heard her name a lot if they follow college softball. She's just a stud all around, great at the plate, great in the field. So I think she's definitely one to watch.
And then on the flip side, the people who are pitching to the hitters, 3 pitchers to watch this year, Sydney.
I'll go Lexi Kilfoyle from Oklahoma State. I was really high on her last year, and she didn't dominate as much as I thought she would. She was behind Kelly Maxwell, who is now at Oklahoma. Big transfer drama. But I think she's done really well so far, so I think she'll continue to dominate. And then second, I have Stanford's Nija Kennedy. She was the freshman of the year last year. She's thrown a .49 ERA this year. She was just really, really great down the stretch last season, so I think she's picking up right where she left off. And then I'm going to have to do another Arkansas pick and do Morgan Linestock. She is a fifth-year transfer from Southern Miss. She's 3-0 so far this season, 19 innings pitched, and a 1.07 ERA. And she just brings that experience that Arkansas really needed.
That's really good stuff, and I like that first pitcher's last name that you gave us, Lexi Kilflu. That should have, it just sounds like a vaccine for some reason. All right,
Yeah.
Hey, we're here in Northwest Florida, so you know we got to get your opinion, your preview or I guess it would be not necessarily a preview, but somewhat of a review and looking forward to the rest of the season for the Florida State Seminoles. What do you think we see out of them?
Yeah, I just think they bounced back. A lot of people are down on them right now. You know, that loss to Charlotte was bad, and then they lost to a really good Georgia team, and then they lost to UCLA, who that was a really not a good loss for them after the way they got handled early on in the season. But they did beat number 9 Stanford, and I really think they just need that pitching experience. They have great hitting. They have experienced hitters, but the experience in the circle really hurts them. And Allison Royalty is really holding it down for them pitching, but the others kind of need to pick it up and do a little bit better to bounce back. But they have a great coach that knows what she's doing, and she's been there many of times. So I think they'll turn it around.
All right. Is there anything you want to talk about with the LSU, New Mexico, or San Jose State before we let you go?
I don't think so, other than LSU's coming for the softball world this year. I'm really high on them. San Jose State's done them pretty good, you know, in the mid-majors. They've done a pretty good job starting the season. They've got some good pitching going on and some good hitters. And then New Mexico's kind of rebuilding their program, so they're up and down. But all around, they're exciting to follow.
Let me ask you this: you're writing for different teams. You're the managing editor for College Softball Central. I know in college football, let alone college baseball, basketball, softball, all of these other sports, how tough does it make it for you covering these teams? Because I'm trying to cover as much as I possibly can, and I know when you're trying to be specific on teams, it might make it even harder. Does the transfer portal make all of these things?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of follow and keep up with people. Like, you learn their names, you learn what they're doing, and whenever it's kind of moving around and new people coming in and out all the time, it is a little difficult. But one kind of cool thing, Arkansas just got an offensive lineman from San Jose State, and that connection was kind of cool to me, and seeing, like, his social medias and stuff that I had already known about and followed, and, like, his teammates and stuff commenting on our Hogs Plus content with him. Like, that was kind of cool to watch. But whenever, I mean, there's just so many people coming in and out and coaching changes, and all of that stuff is kind of hard to keep up with, but you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, and you're doing a great job at it, Sydney. We'll continue along with you throughout the college softball season, and you'll be our go-to for college softball.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, Sydney, take care, and we'll chat with you soon.
All right, see you guys.
All right, y'all make sure you get over there to Twitter, type in College Softball Central. She's the managing editor over there, but it's a great follow. They keep you up to date on all things that are happening in the world of softball. We're actually going to be airing the Women's College Softball Series, World Series this year, so that should be pretty good. We'll be airing the Men's College World Series as well. Can't wait for that time of the year, but no, I can wait for that time of the year. Let's just slow it on down.
I want to watch the rest of the season first.
Yeah, exactly. I want to watch the rest of the season and kind of follow some of those storylines along. And Sydney has given us some stuff to watch. I got an update from Dream Big. So if you need any photography for your sporting events, you can go to Instagram and type in Dream Big. You'll find Jamal Smith. He does a great job. He just hit me up with an update in middle school basketball. We were talking about that on the Inside Drive this afternoon. And it looks like North Bay Haven has taken down Rutherford. They said Ryu had a great game. That the score there was 48 North Bay Haven, 36 Rutherford. Jamal, we appreciate you sending in that score. Thank you a lot. Thank you to Sydney for giving us some of her times. We're going to keep it in the world of softballs. We're going to go over to the phone line with Coach Scott Thomas. He's the head coach for the Lady Commodores, talking more college softball when we get back. Can't wait.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
There's some regular plain old jerseys out there for Little League kids that look better than what Major League Baseball has. And Trey Turner, shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies, says, I know everyone hates them, he told the AP. We all liked what we had, and we understand business, but I think everyone wanted to keep it the same way for the most part.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. A variety of some clouds and light sprinkles tonight with a wind at 13 miles per hour out of the southwest and a low of 63. Tomorrow morning, look for some clouds with a temperature near 69. In the afternoon and evening, a high around 70 and mostly sunny. Saturday, quite warm with a high of 66 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back inside of the doghouse. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 right here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We're going to be talking with the Lady Commodores head coach, Scott Thomas, right now. Coach, how's it going?
Doing great, David. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing wonderful, and the connection is a lot better for us over this way. Before we dive into Gulf Coast Lady Commodores and what you guys have been up to lately on a nice little win streak, you shot me over something of one of your former players, Collier Peden. Right now, she's hitting .559. She's got 19 hits, 6 runs, and just having a heck of a season. And she's over there at FIU. And they're playing Florida State right now. Talk a little bit about her and just kind of watching the success as she grows, as she went from Gulf Coast onto FIU.
Yeah, Collier's a tremendous athlete. I really thought she was a Power 5 kid, and I tried to sell her on Auburn on her and Florida State. She's a kid out of Dothan, and she's 1 for 3 right now in the game against Florida State, and has a couple putouts and scored a run already in that game, but Florida State's kind of taking control of that game, 7-2 in the 5th, I think. But Collier is the type of high-end kid that you don't get very often at this level. I don't think so in softball, at least. You may get him in baseball a little bit more. But, she's done a phenomenal job. She went in knowing that she was going to have to compete for a position. She didn't start in game 1, and after game 2, she hadn't been out of lineup. So she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. And, we've got Cassidy Bolts up at Troy is doing a phenomenal job. Emily Greeks at Georgia Southern. Cam Mahalis is at Marshall. We've been blessed with some good kids that can play at a higher level.
Yeah, and you guys got a few of them over there right now at Gulf Coast State College. I'm kind of just looking through some of the numbers. I was looking through them earlier as well. And, y'all are killing it in the on-base percentage right now. And one of the names that stands out, just Michaela Peters. Talk about the season she's been having to this point.
Yeah, Michaela's she's doing what she's supposed to do, which is get on base as a 2-hole hitter. She's not somebody that I asked to bunt very often, mainly because she gets on base. It's really kind of I know people don't. Moneyball is kind of a cuss word, so to speak, to some people, but she's kind of that kid. She's got 16 walks and 1 strikeout, and that goes with all the hits. So she's hitting a little over 400 or something. I can't remember. And I think her on-base percentage is something like 530-something, 540-something.
543.
Something like yeah. And so you're just talking about somebody that's getting it done, and she's getting some looks. Got at least 1 ACC schools on her, and that I talked to today, and she's just doing a great job.
What is that process like, Coach? You're going throughout the season and and continuing to kind of promote your girls throughout the season.
Well, you got to remember, I was on the other end of it for 23 years, so, and we had some junior college kids, so I understand the process. The process is much different now than when I was at Virginia Tech, mainly because of the transfer portal, and that's what happens. These kids get lost. These great players are getting lost because the SEC type schools or the ACC schools are watching this transfer portal, trying to pluck somebody else from another SEC or ACC school, and then they're missing on some of the kids that we have. And but there are some schools that are really paying attention and really doing a good job of taking care of our kids, and those are the people that I have to make sure that I've got contact with. So as it plays out, let's say in Collier's case, and I tell my kids all the time, stay patient, something's going to happen, and I'd continue to take their numbers and say, okay, who might be interested in her, where is she willing to go, and we've got to make this imperfect chemistry come together and just hope that the right opportunity comes along, and generally it does. And when I sit there and look at Collier or like an FIU that recruits, they were at the tournament we were at in Clearwater as an example. USC Upstate was the one in Clearwater. So some of these schools are really looking at us and not paying as much attention to the transfer portal. So it's a different game, and I have to be kind of right there to help these kids to find the right place to go.
Y'all are up to 15-3 right now, riding a 10-game win streak. Coach, give us the good stuff that's been standing out to you in the early goings.
Well, we're putting up some good numbers on the hitting side. I think we talk about this a lot with the girls as far as what's the greatest commodity that you have, and the greatest commodity I try to sell on our kids is outs. Whether you're giving them or taking them away, you're taking them away or you're keeping them. Being able to, for example, to draw more walks than strikeouts, that's very much a positive. And we're winning the game there on a positive side with more walks than strikeouts. That means we're seeing good pitching. We're not chasing a lot. That means we're putting the ball in play. And that all adds up to scoring runs. And then, from a defensive standpoint, our pitching has done pretty well. We've had a couple days here and there that we didn't do great, but our pitching overall has done well. Lexi Shelby's throwing really well. And then Marissa Barnes has had some really good moments. Lindsey Paul's had some good moments. Our two starters the other day were Maddie Vaughn and Ainsley Stubbs, one from Kentucky, one from Missouri, and they had not gotten the starts like the other ones, and they threw great. So it's just a matter of using that as a pitching staff, which we don't usually have this deep, and continue to do the things on the offensive side of it. And, so far it's going pretty well.
Yeah, you mentioned Lexi Shelby there. She's setting them up and mowing them down. 56 strikeouts and 37.2 innings pitched there. I mean, just talk a little bit more about her and what she's been doing for you guys as kind of leading the ace of the pitching staff when you have two sophomores there and the rest are freshmen.
Yeah, last year she and Marissa had to kind of handle things as freshmen. We didn't have the returners like some people did. And we had one Grace Ann Spears that could have come back, but we thought it was just best that she move on, and she went to Georgia Southern or whatever. But I think that's the thing. These two have they've got a year experience. They're utilizing that year of experience. And actually, Lexi came to us back as a mid-year transfer from Tennessee Tech, and she kind of had gotten overshadowed by a couple other high school pitchers when she was coming out of pace. So a lot of people didn't know her, as well, I don't think. I think certain people did because of travel ball. Some people didn't. And, we were just very fortunate to be able to snag her and have her come in and the mid-year. And so that worked out really well. But she's throwing the ball really well right now. And she's worked on a little change of pace that's making her a lot more effective this year. And so excited about what Lexi's doing, and Lexi's a great leader too, and a good Christian kid. It's just doing a lot of good things on and off the field.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with the head coach for the Lady Commodore softball team, Coach Scott Thomas. Coach, are your freshman pitchers receptive to the advice or the leadership from your sophomores?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, one of the ones that's really we're counting on is Kaylee Navarre, and we've had injury issues with her. She threw really well in her first time out, but I think they look up to them. They understand. They know who's getting the innings, and they know that we've got to share innings. And I think the biggest thing is, Brittany Krause, my assistant coach, our pitching coach, Brittany's doing a great job for me, and doing an even better job for the girls. But she's doing a great job for all of us. But the older girls, I think, if they can show some confidence, I think it gives the younger pitchers the idea, hey, I can go out there and do the same thing. And Brittany does a great job of molding them and getting them ready for each week. And it really is a day-to-day type of thing with them because they're learning as they go.
Yeah, how important is that to have a good staff around a great head coach to continue to kind of get that trickle-down effect that you're looking for?
Well, you need a lot of good people around me. Anyway, they do all kinds of stuff for me outside of just softball, just in the workplace. They just do such a great job, and it relieves a lot of stress off of me where I don't have to worry about certain things. Brittany is so organized, and I am so not organized. And I know that's kind of crazy. Some people, they say these great coaches are very organized. I have a pretty good my organization skills is a little bit of a mess. But anyway, I know that Brittany's got my back, and she's taking care of business, and she's always way ahead of me when it comes to that. But knowing that you got somebody and kids and somebody that has your back, and we have their back, the loyalty factor is huge. So you don't have to worry about somebody talking behind your back and all these types of things that you hear the stories about,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very lucky with her and Maddie Atwater, who's doing a great job for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Coach, this weekend y'all are going to be down there in Longwood, Florida for the CMI Invitational, which I'm looking forward to next weekend. I believe you guys will be back here at the house. You got a game next Thursday that's right here at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock against Snead State. But talk about that tournament coming up and what you guys are looking to do there.
Well, this is a huge one. And it's one that I've had on the calendar since the beginning of the year because we're going down into, so to speak, enemy territory with regard to Region 8 and the Florida region. So we're going to be playing 4 teams that are in our region, and this will be a big on as far as our success down there will help us as far as our regional seedings and then what that looks like with potential of going to nationals later on. And if we're not top 2 and potentially one of the at-large bids that goes to nationals. So this is huge. So we've got Daytona, Santa Fe, who are very solid. We got Central Florida, who's always one of the top teams in the state. We've already played them in a tough game. We got them first time, so I know they'll be ready for us. Excuse me. I think I'll be surprised, but probably Haley Guffey's probably going to be pitching against us, who's from Weewa.
Okay.
And so we got that coming on. That'll be on Sunday. And then State College of Florida, which I think used to be Manatee. I think it's Manatee Community College, I think is what that used to be. And so all in that other conference here in Region 8. So it's huge. It's a huge weekend for us. And it'll be a statement maker for us if we can take care of business.
Absolutely, Coach. Thanks so much for giving us some of your time, and good luck this weekend, and we'll see y'all soon.
Sounds good, man. Look forward to having you guys out.
Absolutely. That is Coach Scott Thomas. He's the head coach for the softball team, the Lady Commodores of Gulf Coast State College. They are 15-3. They're riding a 10-game win streak. And, man, if you get an opportunity, if you have some time, the next opportunity is going to be next Thursday. They've got a doubleheader at 2 and 4 o'clock. And then on Friday, they've got a game against Enterprise at 12 o'clock. And then Calhoun at 2:30. And then on Saturday, they've got Calhoun and Andrew College. So lots of home games on the docket coming up. And if you haven't been to check out the Gulf Coast Lady Commodores, it's a lot of fun. And the baseball team's having great success to this point as well. They're having a great run. And again, with 15-3, 2 of those losses were very early in the season. Then they lost another one short into the season and riding a 10-game win streak at this point in time. North Bay Haven Wrestling, we'll wrap it up with our final local topic of the day. North Bay Haven Wrestling, the girls went on to win their first district title. The boys dominated their district by over 100 points. Now, the girls are about 1 week ahead in the postseason. They've already competed in regionals. They finished 7th there. For the first time, 2 female wrestlers, which was Julia Falgout and Gracelyn Jansen, qualified for the state competition. That duo is the only female state qualifiers from Bay County this season. The boys are going to be competing at Weewa on tomorrow and Saturday, and that is going to be the hope for the Bucks to send 4 to 8 more wrestlers down south for state. James, as always, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be having you on Mondays moving forward. So
happy to be here on Monday too.
Yeah, man, and you'll be playing some hockey afterwards. So one of these days, I'm going to have to hitchhike with you.
You got to ride in there with me, man.
Yeah.
Go see the rink. It's a little bit different because it's a shorter rink than a regular rink because, well, we got to make it fit on 2 tennis courts. So, but we have a lot of fun out there. It's just a laid back, good old beer league.
I need to get on eBay and get me a pair of skates. I think I gave my gloves away, so I'll probably have
got a pair you could borrow as long as you can wear a 10.
10 and a half?
Skate sizes usually run about a full size shorter than the shoe size because I wear a shoe size 11.
I'll do the opposite of Ed McCaffrey and just cut my toes off instead of the heel of the shoe. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. That's it for us today. Coach James Hill Show live at 7 in the morning. Inside Drive back at 11. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. Have a great evening.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Thursday. A variety of some clouds and light sprinkles tonight with a wind at 13.